Hello? Why my nose? My name is Alexis, and I want to start documenting all of my crafts, all of the things that I make, all of the things I create, and I want to do it every month. We're already in February, so I missed a month, but I'm going to go through by category. Here's the categories. What I have already made, so like work in progress and finished work, and then what I want to make with the little ideation and mood boards and everything, and how I got to that point. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with works in progress. My first work in progress, caveat, I've been knitting up a storm. I used to knit a lot in high school, but I completely forgot most of what happened in high school, so I kind of retaught myself how to knit, and now I can't stop. But the first work in progress, oops, I'm on the wrong tab. I discovered shadow knitting, which is crazy. So you basically are making like a lenticular knit, and when you tilt it, you can see the pattern, which is so cool. And it's just made through different like purl and knit patterns. This shawl is on hold because it's taking me a while, but I used these colors. Don't know how I feel about them yet. And let's see if we can, I haven't really gotten to much of the shadow part yet, but you can see, do you see the effect? Isn't that kind of cool? So do you see, watch this top part. Ooh. Ooh, isn't that cool? So this is going to be a huge shawl. I'm using a slightly thicker yarn than I think they use in their pattern, but it's the Jamo Hug Shadow Shawl by Mark Jameson, and I'm using Cascade 220, and I don't remember the colors, but it's like a pretty brown, and then this one here, this one actually has the tag in it, Pale Lime, which is actually discontinued, so I had to order it from 2 different places. So that's my first work in progress. I think it's going well. I really love shawls. They're less intimidating than sweaters. Your gauge doesn't really matter, and they're just like big triangles. The next work in progress, very exciting. So I'm living my dreams of being a craft influencer finally, because someone on the Knit Picks team reached out to me on TikTok, and we chatted a little, and they offered to gift me yarn for nothing in exchange. Obviously, I'm going to do things in exchange. So they gave me, let me show you the yarn first and then the project. This beautiful Ew and Billy, and my iPhone is backwards, and that's okay. It's DK weight. This one is in the color Bear. It's a mix, let's look at the tag together. It's a mix of 75% merino, 25% mohair, so it has this beautiful halo. It's like a 2-ply. It's so nice. And then this one is the other color I got from them in the color Acorn. If you can read backwards, sorry. I got this because it matches my winter jacket, so I wanted to make this really nice, beautiful shawl. I wanted to learn brioche, so I found this awesome free, actually, pattern, which has this amazing YouTube tutorial to go with it. I can pull that up. Amazing YouTube tutorial to go along with it. This woman, I need to learn her name. She has taught me pretty much almost everything I know. So once I saw that there was a YouTube tutorial, I was like, I can handle this shawl. So here, let me show you. Let me put my yarn down. This is also taking a long time because I'm messing up constantly, but I think that's okay. It's looking good. That's the wrong side. Brioche is very hard, and the woman from the YouTube video, Very Pink Knits, I think is the name, she also taught me about lifelines, so I've been adding a lifeline every like 6 lines, and I've had to use almost all of them. Lifelines basically mean you put a string through your knitting, and then if you mess up, you can frog back and the string like catches your place. So it's like a save as, like you're in a video game, but for knitting. So this is going pretty well. I'd say I'm like halfway through maybe. I can make it as big as I want because you just keep knitting and increasing. This is actually the top, and then the bottom comes into like a point when you're done. But this is knitting up really nicely, even though I'm having a hard time because I'm not good at knitting yet. But the brioche is beautiful, and it's so soft, and it matches my winter coat, and it's really nice. So there's that. Thank you again to Knit Picks. I get really guilty buying myself yarn, especially for projects where I don't think I'm going to do a good job. So it really took a lot of pressure off, and that was super nice. So work in progress too. And then let's see. My third work in progress in the fiber category. I say fiber because I also crochet, but I'm on a real knitting kick right now, so we're really only knitting. My third and most exciting work in progress is I'm knitting my first sweater. So it's a reverse half fisherman's rib. I'll show you the pattern first. It's called the Windermere sweater by Cheryl Mokhtari. And I'm knitting it because I saw this TikTok from Alex James Fiber where they show you how to knit this stitch in the round and flat. So again, like there's a theme here. If there's a video tutorial, I will attempt it. So far it's going pretty well. I haven't messed up too badly yet. And this beautiful yarn, I did knit a gauge swatch. It's Cascade Cantata, and I'm pretty sure this is called Neon Lime, but the color's not actually on the ball. But I have a collar. I did use a lifeline so I could take it off and fit it over my head, so it does fit over my head. It's my first rolled collar. I think that's what it's called, or folded collar. And it's going well. I'm doing the German short rows right now, which are intimidating, but like it's not that bad. I did mess up a little bit where I added a knit row because it was really hard for me to start the reverse half fisherman's rib pattern. But you know, first sweater, very exciting. Hopefully it works out. My gauge swatch did not actually meet gauge. It was too small, but I committed already, so I'm just gonna make this sweater really large for me. So we'll see if that works out. So far it's looking pretty good. It was close to gauge. So that's that. Very exciting work in progress for my first sweater. Oh, also I wanted to mention more about this yarn. This is a chainette yarn. So it's like the little tube itself is knitted, which I find really cool. And it's made with cotton and superwash wool. I know cotton's not always great for sweaters, but I get too hot in most sweaters and I really want to wear this all the time. So I think the chainette being light and airy because it's a tube that's hollow on the inside, this will make a really beautiful, like light wearable sweater because I want to wear everything that I make. So that's it, I think, for the section of works in progress for this month. Now I can show you some finished work, I think. Let me check. You can see my notes too. Yes, now I can show you some finished work. In terms of finished works from January, I'm also going to extend back into December of 2024 just because I finished a bunch of stuff, but it still feels like it's part of this, whatever. Okay, this is the first. So the second I found out you could knit frogs, I had to do it. And actually, I've seen these TikToks before where it must be this person who made the pattern. They like make little claymations, but it's knitmations with the frog. And I saw that frog and I was like, it must be so difficult to do that. But I realized, I'll give you context. So I knit some other things and they're on the ground now. I knit some other things and each of these other things taught me something. And there's 2 more other things in the other room. And it gave me the skills where I could knit this frog, which is incredible. So the pattern is Frog, aptly named, by Claire Garland. He's beautiful. I love him. He has pipe cleaners in his arms so you can pose him. And I ripped the buttons off of a shirt that I made a while ago because I just really wanted to give him eyeballs and I didn't want to wait. So this is really my only truly finished object for January. He's incredible and he's perfect. But to do him, you have to do German short rows. You have to do different types of shaping. Here, I have some lists here. I don't think I spelled that right, but it's like when you knit stuffed animals. Twisted rib, things like that. So there's a bunch of things you have to do, and I learned those through these other projects. Bear with me, I won't pull up the tabs for these, but no, I will actually. One second. So I went on a little tin can knits binge because their patterns are written really well for beginners, and they have a lot of detail and photos in them, which is incredible. So I think I did the mittens first. Yeah, the world's simplest mitten. These might be simple for mittens, but I did have a super hard time. It was the first time I used double pointed needles, and I sat on the ground of like the earth room in Soho and knit these for a little while because they're like moss colored and I just thought it would be nice. And then I also added conductive thread to the thumbs. I made a different YouTube video about that so I can text with them on, but they turned out really cute. They're different, even though they're a pair of sisters, not twins, but this was great. I recommend this pattern, especially if you're like an advanced, I'm back. I recommend this pattern, especially if you're like an advanced beginner. And then the other tin can knit that I knitted is I wanted a little bonnet that I would be able to wear outside so that my ears and my forehead could be warm, but I just don't love like beanies for me. And this I think turned out super cute. I love it so much. The yarn for all of these is a mono puna in asparagus, which is like a beautiful alpaca yarn, and it's so gorgeous. And then for the bonnet, I held it double with a mohair or another Surrey alpaca. I don't quite remember, but love this bonnet. This was also pretty easy to knit. I learned German short rows through this one. That's how you shape like the back of it. And I also learned how to do the little I-cord things on circular needles. So this was amazing. I love it. And then with the extra yarn, I felt obligatory to make a Sophie scarf because I hadn't made one yet. I made like a similar pattern that was free, but I was like, let's just make the original. And the only difference is that the ends are like pointier. This is more of a Sophie shawl. I did the trick where you knit and you weigh your yarn at the beginning. You knit to the, like, until you have half of that yarn. So if you have 100 grams, you knit until 50 grams are left. And then you knit the other 50 grams in the other side of the triangle. And you never run, like, you don't have to play yarn chicken. It's perfect. So you use up all your yarn. So I did that for this. So now I have the little Sophie scarf. I have the little beloved bonnet by Tin Can Knits. And I have mittens, and they all match, which I think is great. So these technically I finished, I think, all in December, so they don't really count, but we'll count them in the Januaries because it's all part of my new learning. So I think that's everything for our knitted category. Yeah, here's all the stuff I learned. German twisted cast on for the sweater, 2-color brioche, German short rows. So I also want to add like things that I learned. So I learned all that stuff, which is cool. And I think that's it. So now we're going to go into upcoming. For the fight. Upcoming. So this is what I want to make for next month. The first thing, ignore the slug for now. I want to try knitting some socks. I got this really cool neon green yarn. Everything's like desaturated in photo booth, so pretend this is brighter. My hair is also brighter. I think this is going to make really cute socks. I probably will use a Tin Can Knits pattern. I'm also debating whether I should learn to knit 2 socks at once, but I don't think that should be my first sock. I think I should just do one for now. So, pattern TBD. The other thing that I want to knit up with my scrap yarn, I saw this Ravelry post for a slug, which I thought was incredible. And now that I've done my frog, I'm pretty sure I can handle a slug. The caveat here is that you can't buy this pattern online, you have to buy a book. So I bought the 200 Fun Things to Knit book, and the slug pattern is in here. So I bought this book for one pattern. I'm sure I will use other patterns in it. But slug is on my list for my scrap yarn. And then the other thing I want to make, I'm going to take you through something a little more complicated. My video might freeze, but that's okay. So I want to make this vest out of RGB colored, here's the colors, can you see them? RG, my bee mohair just fell on the ground, or it's a Surrey silk, fell on the ground. RGB colors. I want to use, so let me go through the tree. So I want to knit a vest using fully saturated RGB colors. So here's the R. I have a sock yarn and a Surrey alpaca, the Lana Grossa colors. RGB. So I bought these. I'm going to hold them double. I was inspired, so let me take you through, this is how I like ideate things sometimes. I have this pair of pants I got from a Farm Rio sample sale that has a really interesting stitch pattern on the reverse side, and it's knit. So it's like, let me see if I can find something similar to this. And I did finally find something using like a little reverse Google image search and some like keyword searching. First I found this triple check knit blog, which is really interesting. It's from mathgirl.com, but girl is spelled with 2 R's. So they're basically doing double knitting, which is where you knit like something double-sided in this cool triple checked pattern, but it's going to be really thick. So from that article, at the bottom of the article, I found another link to a similar stitch pattern called 3-color brioche. It's also called like honeycomb brioche or stockinette. They all seem to be similar, if not the same stitch. So I want to knit a vest out of that stitch with these 3 colors, but I also want to do some projection mapping on the vest. So the RGB colorway is inspired by this piece that I saw in the, what is the museum called? The Cooper Hewitt a while ago, like many years ago when I was in university, where it shined a light on they shined a light on the piece. They shined a fully saturated red light, and then it went to blue, and then it went to green, and it brought out different pieces of the piece, and I thought it looked really cool. So I want to augment something. I've already made something similar in Metaspark, Spark AR, rest in peace, which is an augmented reality platform for Instagram, where I made this pattern. I did something similar where I overlaid all these pictures and then had the lighting change so you could see the different photos as it changed. So I want to do something like that with this stitch in knitting, where I projection map something over it. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. So I'm going to follow one of these tutorials. I'm going to make something similar to this, so the construction will be pretty simple. 2 rectangles or squares. I'll do some sort of border and then attach it to the back. So it'll be a wearable piece. The projection mapping probably won't happen while I'm wearing it. I'll probably put it up like on a wall or something. But I think this is going to be cool. I love mixing mediums together, so I'm excited for this one. I don't think I will finish this in the month of February or even the next month, but just putting it on our radar that this is a project that I have on my list. I think that's everything for fiber. I do have a couple other things I ordered yarn for, but I think I need to just put that on hold because I have a lot of stuff going on right now. Wait until I finish this and then tackle those next month. Though those things are for winter, but I digress. Winter is ending. I'm still knitting things for winter time. It's fine. So on to the next category. All right, now for the sewing category. I don't really have works in progress for sewing, at least not yet. I'm sure I will, because they're more like quick wins. But let's go in order. I made myself a little quilted case for my iPad. I followed this tutorial. Zippers are my enemy. I really struggled with this. Quilting is also very hard. I also struggled with that. I picked really thick fabric too, so that might be part of the problem, but it's double-sided. The zipper goes all the way like this. It's also like that on the inside. I think it turned out cute. I can see all the imperfections and things in the quilting, but you know, perfection is a curse. Anyways, so that's that. That was really cute. I'm on a little pouch and holder kick, so I also made, I used this tutorial. I made this little zipper pouch, not out of denim like they did, for my knitting. So when I knit my socks, I'm gonna put my little ball of yarn in here and my knitting needles, and then I'm gonna throw this in my bag, which I think is super fun. And then one more thing for finished items. Oh yes, I'm not gonna try them on because it's hard to show pants in this format, but I made these pants. So I used this pattern. I use this pattern a lot, actually. I kind of use it as like a pants block. I don't know if that's a thing, pants block, but you know, like a bodice block. What is it called? Zephyr straight leg pants. So I take out the traveler's crease. I do a lot of changes to them, actually. I make them wider and everything, but I think I made a video on this. I don't know if I posted it on YouTube yet. I used 3 old sweatshirts from like tech companies that give you merch. So I made the pants out of 2 sweatshirts and then those pockets out of a 3rd like quilted sweatshirt that we were just gonna get rid of. I think they turned out really cool. And if you see in this bit right here, I put snaps on the bottom so that they're kind of like, what's the word? Barrel. They're like barrel jeans for when they're snapped up, and then when they're unsnapped, they're like wide leg pants. But I think those turned out really cool, and that was a super fun project. And then, quick change, one last finished sewing object. I made this dress like a year ago with the intention of wearing it to weddings, but I realized after going to a wedding, of course, that the white on the sides is white. So I took out, sorry, I put this dress on and I messed my eyebrows up. I took those panels out and I made it just into like a slip dress. You're not gonna be able to see the whole thing, but I think it's better. I did this like cool stitching I'm probably gonna do all over the dress, but I think that's my last finished item in terms of sewing for like the month of January. So now we can get into my upcoming items. It's kind of dark now, but I want to get this done today. So in terms of our upcoming for my sewing category, my partner actually has this house coat in black. It's really nice and heavy, but I obviously want my own. So what I'm gonna do is I have a ton of scraps of double cotton gauze like this in these really cool like checker tartany type patterns, but I also have a lot of white. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna patchwork that together. I wanna use this technique called jogakbo. It's a Korean quilting technique. So you use scraps and then you flat fell seam them together. I've used this before on wool, even though you're supposed to use like lighter fabrics, and it's beautiful. So I think that'll be a really cool way to patchwork this double cotton gauze together. Here's some pictures. It's gorgeous. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna like quilt it. And then the pattern I'm gonna use to replicate this jacket is called the Hovia jacket. It's perfect. So I'm not gonna have to do much. It's from Megan Nielsen Patterns. So I kind of broke this down into like, what do I need to figure out? Do I have enough cotton? Do I have enough batting? I did not have enough batting, so I bought some of this warm and plush in like a queen size, 100% cotton batting. I decided what view I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lengthen it, I'm gonna make the pockets bigger, change the ties, and then I figured out some of the execution, and here was some of my mood boarding before I found that pattern. So I think that's gonna turn out really cool, and I'm super excited because I've been freezing in the house. The other thing I have upcoming for sewing plans, I have a nice chocolate brown double cotton gauze. Can you tell what kind of fabric I like? And I want to make some pajamas. So I think I found this on Pinterest. I can't figure out where it's from. I reverse Google image searched it. I digress. I bought some beautiful brown mother of pearl buttons. So I want to kind of replicate this. I'll probably self-draft that pattern. And then for the pants, I was thinking of a simple like elasticated waist pant, but I've been wanting to make these out of denim, so I think it would be nice to practice them with an elastic waist out of that double cotton gauze. And then otherwise upcoming for sewing, I bought this gorgeous pointel fabric. It's so plush and beautiful and soft. The seller is, I think they're in South Korea, and the shipping was expensive, but it was worth it because this is gorgeous. So I want to do something else like loungewear-y out of this. I just haven't figured it out yet. So I think that's everything for sewing. So we can move on to pottery. For pottery, in terms of works in progress, I am making this tray. I'm just pottery plagiarizing, which is fine because it's for myself. I'm making this with a brown clay, and it's drying on my shelf right now. I did not take a picture of it. I'm using mason stains to color porcelain, and I want to try a really thin blue glaze on this, like a celadon, to see if it turns green. Like if it's translucent enough where the yellow from the clay body comes through and it makes the glaze look green. So I think that'll be cool. Along the same vein, I have been playing with brown slip because I like how glaze looks on my brown bear clay by Kentucky Mudworks. But I don't love, like I'd rather get the vitrification that porcelain gives you where it's really sealed. So I threw this in porcelain and then I put the slip on and I'm gonna glaze over it, see what it looks like. So that's what we have for works in progress for pottery. In terms of finished work, I had to make myself bigger. With my scrap clay, instead of recycling it, which this is recycling in a way, I've been making little ring holders shaped like dachshunds. I'll have to insert a video of Oat in here so you know who this is modeled after. And I think it's a really fun way to use the clay. I've been testing my mason stains with it, so you can tell this one's like a really light green. And then I made this one that's like gonna be a bead because it's tiny and it has a little hole in it. So that'll be fun. I threw a few cups to test some glazes. So I wanted to test a glaze gradient. It actually looks better in this camera. I hate this. I don't like how it turned out. I think the top is pear and the bottom is like a darker green celadon from Amico. I just didn't blend it well. It doesn't look good. Don't like this cup, boo. But you know, things happen. They can't all be winners. I also made this mug for my mom. It has a little red-eyed tree frog in it with the same celadon on it. It turned out good. This was supposed to be a Christmas present. It's really late. I made her a different cup that made it in time instead, but she'll be getting this one. And then another glaze tester, I got this new glaze. It's called Papaya. It's a really nice matte glaze. I think it's from Spectrum. And then the bottom is oxblood with clear over it to try to bring out those reds a little bit more. You can see that didn't really work. But the objective of this one, I made this lip tapered inwards, is because I want to use this for travel lattes. So I have this little plastic thing, and you can't see me doing this, but I'm doing it. You stretch it over the top. It's not plastic, it's silicone. And then it's like airtight, so I can bring my lattes to the pottery studio in this, and there's a little straw hole. And I think it's great. So that's it for finished pottery objects this month, I think. And now we can get into upcoming. In terms of upcoming, I don't really plan my pottery work that much unless it's around the holidays or someone's birthday. But there are a few things I've wanted to make for a while. I want to make press-ons out of porcelain, like for your nails. They might be too brittle, but might as well just test it. And I've been playing around with the idea of like a corset type thing or a garter belt out of porcelain as well. I haven't really materialized that one yet. So hopefully those are things I'll work on in February. We'll see, because I kind of just go all over the place with pottery. This is Oat. He's who the ring holders are modeled after. I'm gonna put him down now. And then for the second to last section in terms of digital, I've been getting back into Touch Designer and Unity. The little title cards you saw, I made in Touch Designer. I think they're really fun. I'm also learning C# again. I forgot most of it. And I made this really cool project for an agency in Brooklyn called 12, where it's like a little mini luggage scene on a hang tag. Let me show you. The woman I was working with made all the models and I just had to compress them, but I made it so that when you tilt it, the clothing moves a little bit and these hang tags will be on these pieces of apparel. So I think that turned out really cool. In terms of upcoming, I've been taking pictures of all my clothes against the same background. I want to put them all in a freeform board so I can like make little outfits. That's taking a long time. And I also want to play with interactive installations a little bit more. So I bought some like two-way glass or one-way glass or whatever it's called, semi-transparent, so that you can make like hologram looking things coming out of digital screens if you put it over a screen. And I've just been messing around with that sort of stuff with sensors and inputs and cameras. So that's it for digital. And then for my miscellaneous category, we're gonna go on a little field trip. I made 2 of these cork boards. I don't want to have boards with push pins in them because if they fall, I'm afraid Oat might eat them. So instead, as a solution, sorry, I froze. I made these boards. I used elastic, but lingerie elastic, so that it's kind of like grippy on the inside. So I can hang up notes, in this case, my fabric. And then this is just a big frame from IKEA in the back of the frame. But I think it turned out really well. I need to tape it better. One of the little things fell off, but it still holds my stuff. So that's it. I know it's a lot. That's not it. That's it for February, the makes I want to make for this month, and what I made and am making from January. I hope you liked it. I don't think anyone's going to stay until this part because this is going to be really long. But yeah, I want to do this every month. I want to categorize what I'm doing because I make a lot of stuff. And if you have any questions, ask me your questions. Okay, bye-bye.